Trustees regular meeting Monday, April 4th, 2016 at 7:30 to order. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of meeting agenda. Any additions or deletions? I have some additions to start. I'd like to add letter L, 2016 limestone program. I'd like to add letter M, 2016 CDBG funding. And I'd like to add letter N, Sheriff's Annual Spring Cleanup.
Say that again.
Sheriff's Annual Spring Cleanup under letter N. And any other additions or deletions, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the 3 additions.
Support. Motion by Trustee Turchi, supported by Trustee Boyd. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Approval of minutes, 3/7/2016.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Support.
Motion by Trustee Boyd, supported by Trustee Turchi. Other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Number 5, public comment. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Rob Schroeder. I live on 31 Mile Road between Forest and Gratiot. I just want to speak on behalf of the limestone allocation program. Last year I was here about the same time, stressing the need for it. And I wish Cam were here tonight because he could back me up on this. But last year in the minutes, he clearly stated that our section of road was the worst in all Lenox. So we had a meeting out. Well, his point was, let's just not put good stuff and let it sink or whatever. So Cam and Leo Sabati, I think I got his name right.
From the Road Commission?
Correct. We met out on the road, he looked at it, and long and short of it, nothing really happened. They put a little bit of limestone on the one end, but it really didn't do much. And over the winter, the past winter, that road was really, really bad. It basically is a 2-track road now. It's very dangerous. If you turn right out of your driveway and don't look right, you're bound to hit somebody head on. I've seen it happen, almost come close a couple times. So I just want you to consider, putting the limestone allocation, because they need more material to be able to crown the road. It doesn't drain on the north side of the road, and it's just a solid potholes. Macomb County does a good job with grading, but it gets, with 1,000 cars a day, it just gets beat to death. In 2 days, it's back to where it was. The ultimate thing would be to pave it, but I know economically that's just not feasible.
Was that something that you did talk to your neighbors about, the paving?
No, I'd like to talk to the other, I don't know the process that we would have to go through. I know Leo said they're not going to do it on their dime. So we would have to, I don't know what the program is, if you have to give 50% or what it is and how you go about getting the funding and all that stuff. I need somebody with expertise doing it.
Okay.
But I think most of the neighbors, and a couple are here tonight, would be all in favor of it. It's very dangerous, and it's tears up vehicles, and 1,000 cars a day is a lot.
Would they be in favor of it if it was something that would be a special assessment that you guys would actually end up paying for?
As long as it's not radically high, yeah. I don't know what the average household would pay per foot of frontage. I'm assuming it's based on that.
You're talking proration over time.
Right, like a 10-year program or something.
Sermon's back there, he knows more about it.
And Jeanette, before we get there too, can you pull the limestone plan to see when the last time that one was applied, if it was?
That was another comment I wanted to make too, is I realize that the whole county, or Lenox, everybody needs their allocation in a interval, whatever. The reality is that road gets used far more than all the rest, so it's got to be more frequently kept up. When they put it on, it literally looked like they raised the road 5-6 inches. It's all back down again. So
That is heavily trafficked, and I know we do have the same scenarios in other places too, though. There are a few other ones. And that's what we look at, is trying to accomplish as much as we can with the 3 miles that we get. We used to only get 2 miles, and we got an extra mile given to us at a 10% cost. So it's behooves us very much to do this as much as we can. But we just try to do it as fair as possible, and for emergency use, we use Mr. White, I don't know if he's here tonight, Mr. White and Cam and Denny to try and tell us where it's most needed, because there are emergency vehicles, so.
sure they will tell you that.
Yeah.
And it's really like about, I'd say, a third of a mile. It's not even all the way to Forest. You get up towards my house, I'm on I call it the highland.
Okay.
It drains decent. It's not as bad. As soon as you get more towards Gratiot, it's really bad. And the north side is constantly underwater.
31 mile from the city of Richmond limits to Low Plank was done in 2005.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to discuss this some more too when we get to that section, if we could. Thank you, sir. Mr. Safe?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you want me to expand on that.
You want to wait till we get to it, and then we'll do it that way? Is there any other public comment at this time? Okay, no other public comment. Number 6, public hearing. Reallocation of 2015 Community Development Block Grant Funds.
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
Thank you.
Support.
Motion by Trustee Churchy, supported by Clerk Keith. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Public hearing opened at 7:38. Jeanette? This is just basically for reallocation of these funds. Jeanette, I don't know if you want to explain this real quick.
Good evening. Last year, the 2015 allocation was $37,100, and it went to the refurbishing or remodeling the old building, but we have not spent that. We have till the end of this year, December 31st of 2016, to spend that or lose it. So we had thought that we could reallocate it and put it in the 2016 minor home repair program.
And just to give a summary on top of that, what the county was stating, for us to use that money attached to our old Lenox Township Hall for life, for eternity, that building would only be able to be used for senior purposes only. Could not be used for anything else, 100% dedicated forever. We had to keep it open, staffed. It's just not feasible for that amount of money to do that with that building. So we found another program that could directly benefit our residents. Unfortunately, they have not had that program in the past, so they have to teach a class on it.
Correct.
Which they're supposed to inform us on how to disperse this money amongst the community on people of lower moderate income that need emergency repairs. This money will be made available for them. For example, like if a roof leaks or a furnace goes out or something of
Water
that nature.
heater.
We can directly apply it to our residents rather than lose this money, put it to good use in our community. So we're still waiting for the county to give us a class on that. As soon as they give us the class and direction on how to disperse it, I'm sure we'll do some type of advertisement and get it to the people that need it. So,
Yep.
thank you, Jeanette.
You're welcome.
And these funds were only for brick and mortar projects. They can't be used for services.
Correct.
So are we looking to actually make that decision, that that's where the money's gonna go?
Well, that will be later on. This was just the public hearing part in case
Right.
someone in the audience wanted to
Okay.
speak to it.
Any comments?
There's no comments, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Support.
Thank you. Motion by trustee Turchi, supported by clerk Keith. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Public hearing closed at 7:43. Consent agenda. All items listed under this consent agenda are considered routine by the Township Board and will be enacted by one motion. According to the established Township meeting rules, there will be no separate discussion on these items unless a member of the Board or public so requests or prior to the meeting, in which event the chair of the meeting may remove such items from the consent agenda for discussion and consideration under agenda item number 7 below. Approval of the consent agenda shall be by a majority roll call vote of those presenting and voting. Any questions?
The amount for the bills paid this month is exactly what is on your report. So that's $199,124.25.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda to include the orders and bills in the amount of $199,124.25.
Support.
Motion by trustee Boyd, supported by clerk Keith. Deputy clerk, roll call, please.
Boyd,
Aye.
Turchi,
Aye.
Keith,
Aye.
Trombley.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Number 8, no items that have been removed. Number 9, unfinished business, Water Residential Assistance Program, the RAP program. Attorney Jopnik, if you'd like to comment on this, please.
Yes, certainly. This was on the board's agenda previously. It's a program presented by the Great Lakes Water Authority to provide assistance to residential water users who are in financial need of assistance with their water bills, to help them perhaps enter into partial payment arrangements and so on, to help them avoid having their water shut off and giving them some specific attention. The proposal involved, well, originally we didn't believe it involved an agreement. At the last meeting, you'll recall, the day of the meeting, we learned that there was an agreement that was involved, and as a result, needed board approval of that agreement, and we had taken a look at the agreement and realized that it potentially had impacts on the township's ordinances in terms of what is contained in the ordinances, and there was concern that there might be conflicts with existing provisions in the ordinance. Additionally, township staff wanted some additional time to look into the issues of the program and whatnot, to make sure there wasn't anything else in there that could be problematic for the township. And one of the questions that also came up concerned whether residents of the township that lived in mobile home parks could take advantage of the program. So there were a number of questions for us to look into. We did look into the issues relative to the township's ordinances. It does impact upon provisions in the ordinances. However, there is a provision in our ordinances that allows the township to waive the collection requirements, the penalties, and so on and so forth that this program requires you to waive when you enter into the agreement. So you do have authority under your ordinances to do what the agreement is calling upon the township to do in the event a resident does need assistance in this regard. So you can comply with the ordinance and still be consistent with comply with the agreement and still be consistent with your ordinances. The other issue regarding the mobile home parks, we didn't get an answer to that until late Friday or even early today. I'm not sure, because the letter from my office came out today, but I knew as of last Thursday when we were getting the agenda ready that we hadn't received a response back from Great Lakes Water Authority, or the group that's putting together this program anyway, in terms of how it applied to mobile home parks. And what we have learned just recently is that it will not. As you know, and for the benefit of the members of the public that are here this evening, mobile home parks are served by a water system where the owner of the mobile home park is the customer, is the person who pays the water bill for the entire mobile home park or manufactured housing park. And each of the residents within that private community pay that owner. So they pay the owner. He divides the bill up amongst his owners and apportions it out amongst his residents and sends them bills, and he pays the township one lump sum and receives a bill for one lump sum. As a result, they've indicated that it does not extend to sub-users of a private entity that is paying the overall bill. So that's the answer to that question. As a result of that, I think that the thought is, and maybe Jeanette or Supervisor Trombley can address how often there are issues with financial ability to pay water bills in the township. My understanding is it's pretty low.
Very low.
What we encounter is maybe out of the mobile home
And
parks.
like you said, we already have those in effect to help, but we need to help a certain way.
Right. So, bottom line, long story way around, saying I think at this point, from a legal standpoint, and I know we just issued this letter and sent it over today, so I know that the board hasn't had an opportunity to review it, but we are satisfied with the agreement and have no more issues to raise for the township board in terms of proceeding with this if you'd like to. I don't know if staff has identified any other issues.
So, bottom line, you have no problem with us signing it?
We do not.
Okay. So I just would need authorization from the board then.
Eric, any resolution? I don't see an actual resolution, so it's not something we have to do.
I think you can just do a motion. I don't recall a resolution being provided as required.
No, I don't believe so.
This is looking through here now.
I'll make a motion that Lenox Township enter into the Water Residential Assistance Program, better known as RAP.
Support.
Motion by trustee Turchi, supported by clerk Keith. Any other questions or discussion?
Do we want to officially assign, it said that we needed someone, I know I read someone here that we have to have someone that's assigned to it.
It'll be our
Right,
department through billing.
No, I understand that, but do we need to make it official for them?
You know, I think that would be a good idea as well as authority on who is going to sign the agreement, which would typically be the supervisor, just to be clear, in case sometimes GLWA requires authority for the person signing it as part of the motion, so just to be safe, I'd suggest including that and the person that's going to administer.
I'll amend my motion to include that the supervisor of the township will be the administrator of the Water Residential Assistance Program and the contact person,
And authorized to sign as well.
and authorized to sign as well.
Thank you.
Support.
Thank you. Once again, motion by trustee Turchi, supported by clerk Keith. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. New business. Reallocation of community development block grant funds. Jeanette?
Those are just the 2015 ones that we had the public hearing on.
I believe so, yes. Or actually, this might be the 60, was this the 16?
No, this is the 15.
This is the 15, okay.
Yep,
So I know there was for both.
right. The 16 will be the one later.
Okay.
Yep, this is to reallocate the $37,100.
Just need a motion for reallocation.
And we exhausted every possible scenario of how to spend this money. And every time we thought we had a good idea, we'd take it to the county and they'd say no.
Yeah, they shot us down multiple times. We even at the end, we conferred with Mr. Casson, who came from the Planning and Economic Development of Macomb County. And he tried every which way he could too, and he said this is our best alternative by far.
I'll make a motion that we reallocate $37,100 in 2015 Community Development Block Grant Funds to the 2016 minor home repair program.
Support.
Motion by trustee Turchi, supported by trustee Boyd. Are there questions or discussion? And I just before we vote, I just want to make it clear, our hands are tied until we get the class from the county and they instruct us how to go forward with dispersing
That
that.
actually almost worries me, is are we gonna have enough time? Because you said it's gotta be used by December. I'm just afraid
They
we
know
don't
it's
have
on now.
time. Because we're counting on the county here to come up with a class to run and
Right.
how that goes.
Yep, I will let them know tomorrow that we've reallocated this and that we need to know as soon as possible when this class is. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Residential solid waste collection and disposal contract renewal. Mr. Conway's here. Would you like to come up, sir? Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, members of the Board of Trustees. I'm Brian Conaway, Public Sector Representative for Waste Management of Michigan. I certainly appreciate the opportunity to be here before you this evening, asking for your review and support of a contract extension for solid waste services that Waste Management provides here in the township. We certainly value the relationship that we have had here in the township for a number of years. And we also appreciate the relationship that we have as we service your residents each service day. We have, as you know, provided a letter to the board expressing our commitment to continue the terms and conditions of the current contract and to also offer a price freeze at the current rate that we have in place. We work very hard, as you guys know, for our employees to deliver service excellence each day, and also to make sure that our employees and our drivers are delivering safe driving practices while on the roads here in the township. Those things are very, very important to us. As I expressed in the letter, the price freeze and the extension was certainly a price decrease because it hasn't been increased over a 5-year period. Our employees get increases every year, and certainly we've experienced increases in fuels and oils and different things that we use with our vehicles. So I hope that you would look at that as a price decrease with a price freeze here in the township. Again, I ask for your support and for your approval of this request.
I just have one question. Not only has there not been an increase in the last 5 years, but it was less than the 08 contract also on the rebid. It was actually cheaper than what we were paying before from 08 and not an increase since 05 and up.
When exactly is the contract up?
Pardon?
When exactly is the contract up?
It's up in
October?
October of this year, yes.
And is it a 1 year or 2 year? It's a 1 year contract, right?
Attorney Jaffe, if you'd like to comment on that, he researched that for us.
Yes, last year, the board approved another 1 year
That's what I thought.
extension through this year, through October this year.
And not only, and actually too, not only were there no increases, there was a decrease, and we added recycling for our residents.
Yes, the maintenance for the other cars. So it's,
Yeah, that came with last year's. Yep.
yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract extension for solid waste collection and disposal through Waste Management.
Support.
Motion by trustee Boyd, supported by trustee Turchi. Any other, Attorney Jaffe?
Yes, I do have an issue in terms of the length of the extension. Was that as part of the,
1 or 2? or-
it can be up to 3 years. In 2012, the board approved a 3-year extension. In 2015, you approved a 1-year extension.
Well, I think they're only offering us at this price of 1 year.
Well, that's an open. I didn't put a term. I mean, if you decide to do it for 2 years, we certainly honor the increase freeze for a 2-year period.
I personally, because of the gas prices right now, I like that, because is there an escalator clause in that if we went 2 years, or would they stay the same?
It would stay the same.
I'll amend my motion to make the contract for 2 years.
Motion by trustee Boyd, supported by trustee Turchi. Any other question or discussion?
Drop it by 10%, I'll go 3.
You're hurting me.
Fest donation request. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Jessica Youngblood,
And I'm Lori Lawrence.
and we are in charge of Rocket Fest this year. We have come to you to ask for your support. We included a letter. Hopefully you guys were all able to have a chance to read that. Can you not hear me? Too loud. Sorry. Basically, we've been given $10,000 from the Village of New Haven to be used towards events. Probably we're going to be using that towards fireworks, and we're about $5,000 short for some other activities that we would like to include families in. We want to bring these communities together. The Rocket Fest will be held on July 16th. It will be at the New Haven High School in the parking lots. We have events all day long. We have a 5K race in the morning. We have a pancake breakfast after that. We'll have food vendors. We'd like to bring in some kiddie rides, mini Ferris wheel that holds 16 kids, a photo booth that some of our middle school kids and teens would enjoy, slides, an inflatable obstacle course, and a couple other activities. And we have a really great vendor that we've been working with, and he's given us a couple quotes. And we're just here to ask for your support. Like I said, we would like to see our communities come together, and we do involve the Lenox Library on this day as well. We have in the past. We open that up and we have kids come in and listen to story time. We've had other activities there as well. But we have a lot of Lenox residents that would be part of this event. Do you have any questions? I do have a quote here that you might want to take a look at. And that was something that I was only able to get today.
Sure.
So I didn't include that last week.
All right, if you'd like to bring it up, pass it down. And this is more specific for the community than just a single school district, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. The school district, the New Haven Community Schools, has offered to help us substantially with advertising costs, so they'll be able to handle all of our printing costs. But that's the support that we're receiving from them.
You know, I would like to comment on it. As Lenox Township, we don't have one event for any of our residents throughout the year. We don't have any expenditures other than our senior program, that we allocate for this. And I can give you an example today. We had the DPW from the Village of New Haven had their back truck and 3 to 4 of their guys out on site on one of our sewer breaks for most of the day at no charge to us. As they go, we go as a community, and I think this is one of the things that really bolster our community. When all the other communities have some sort of event in one way, shape, or another. We do not have anything yet here. So I'd just like the board to keep that in mind.
Thank you. And one thing that we could do is we could also post some kind of a sign. We can give recognition in our flyer and our advertisements that this specific section of events, the mini carnival you might call it, was brought to you, sponsored by Lenox Township. We can certainly do that. We would like to do that.
We have 4 school districts in the township. How do we give to one and not the others? And we had a contract for a program, an after-school program. And there was heartburn on doing that. And that was an actual program that was all the time, where this is a one-day event. And we really aren't supposed to donate taxpayer funds.
This
I make one comment on that?
Oh,
before you go?
absolutely.
I see exactly what you're saying, and I agree, we can't give to one without the other, but in the past, we have given to the odd, and I'm being told this isn't specific to the school district, it's for the community. So it's not, and we have done the same thing before to the Richmond area under Parks and Rec type situation. So that would offset that. Attorney John.
Well, I
do feel that I have to weigh in a little bit on this from the legal side of things. You've heard me previously when the board gets requests for donations to events and activities in the community, which are great causes, which are very important to the community, and the more, the better. And the problem I've counseled the board and township on in the past is that our state constitution and state laws don't allow townships to give away money, to donate money. It's against the law, it's against the Constitution. These are public taxpayer dollars, and as a township, it's a little different than a city or a village sometimes, but as a township, definitely there are clear restrictions on the ability of what you can expend money for. And you can only expend money for something that is authorized by statute to spend the money on. But an after-school program for youth, there are specific statutes that I think would probably allow that. Senior programs, there's a specific statute allowing that. Parks and Rec, there's statutes allowing for the township to spend taxpayer funds for that. If there's not a statute allowing it, then you can't spend the money for it. And the second part of the test is it a township? If you have a statute that says you can spend the money for it, the second question is the township conducting the activity and spending the money, or contracting with somebody to provide the service, say, for example, to seniors or to youth programs under a contract. What the law is clear on is you can't just give money away, and you can't give it away if it's not authorized by statute. So the question comes up in this context, and I haven't looked into this completely, but some of the events like a carnival, there's no authority for under state law. The township would, I have to be straight, the township would be violating the state law by providing money for a carnival and showing up as
Well, I would agree with you for a carnival, but there are other events involved. There's track and field events involved and other things too. There's baseball tournaments. We have no park and rec program here to speak of, so we give no money towards it. I would think there's got to be some way possibly we could do something to bolster this, to bring people to our community.
There is a specific statute that allows the expenditure of money for fireworks for 4th of July events, Memorial Day and Labor Day events. And like you said, Mr. Supervisor, there are other activities that may fall under another statute, and if there were a contract established with this group, and if it's a established organization, I don't know much about the organization that's putting these events on or whatnot, there may be some aspect of this that the township may be able to fund, but I don't want to get anybody's hopes up.
Okay. Fireworks is an option to some extent?
If it's for a 4th of July event or 4th of July related event. Now, 4th of July, as everybody knows, fireworks happen all around the 4th of July, both before and afterward. They're scheduled at different intervals, and I heard that this is going on in July. I don't know when in July or if it's related to 4th of July.
16th.
July 16th.
So I don't know if it's connected to the 4th of July at all and celebrating the 4th of July, but those are things where more information might come into play.
I guess we look at this almost, many townships will have a community picnic, for example, where they bring in the little horses, the little ponies for the kids, they bring in the little train, they do things like that. So this is similar to that, I would suspect. Also, I'm the president of the New Haven Education Foundation, and Lori's actually the treasurer, and this is the first year that we've taken on the responsibility of doing the planning. We have a committee, we've met once. We would love to have other representatives from Lenox Township be on that committee. We need that. To help make this better. We need everybody's support, not just with money, but with time. We spend countless hours volunteering to make something like this really great. There's lots of activities that we're doing that day. Of course, this is the one that we really need funding for, but we do still have events like the 5K. But thank you for your consideration. Any other questions?
No, I was just going to say, it sounds like a great event, and yeah, it would bring the community together, just like the community dinner, but we have had to watch in the past any kind of donation. And as the attorney said, it's basically illegal for us to do it. So if there's something he finds we can donate to, great. Also, where would the money come from? It has to be found out what fund.
That's my concern, because we're spending about $300,000 on our path.
Right.
And we're replacing all the lights outside. We got a lot of expenditures right now. Sorry, but one of the things that caught my attention that Mr. Jopic said was, if the township was sponsoring something, if it was something we were putting together. So what I'm wondering, if nothing else can happen for next year, if you guys are in charge of this, maybe you could actually come to us and say, hey, you guys have the carnival, and maybe we could find a way to do that where we're actually running that part of it. You don't touch it, it's all ours, then it's legal, maybe, something worth looking into.
It's not too late for that this year. We're just starting. Our next meeting is actually the 19th of this month, and we would love to entertain that idea. If there's a way I can reword this, if there is a way that, a different way that you guys would like to be involved, please tell us. One way or the other, whether we do a carnival or not do a carnival. And I use the word carnival, it does not have to be, we do not have to do rides, we can do other things to bring the families together. We are looking for ideas.
Do you have like a website or a contact?
There
is.
So we got...
In your email, the proposal,
Okay.
yes, the website's there.
Okay.
When's your meeting that you said?
The 19th of April, and it's at 6:30 at the New Haven Elementary School in their library. That's our meeting place. But it is, again, we're using the school facilities, but we have people from all over the community. I'm actually a Ray Township resident, so.
I work afternoons, but I'll look at my schedule, and if I can be there, I will definitely come in and see what's going on with it. And I agree if we can somehow, but it's hard to spend that kind of money. It's hard to do.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies.
I have a question.
Yes, would you like to?
I appreciate you trying to help out New Haven and for their Rocket Fest. But as Trustee Chris Boyd said, where would the money come from? Even if you decided to take on the so-called carnival part, where would the money come from? That's my question.
That is the hard part.
Any other discussion? No action taken? Letter D, Township Cellular Telephone Contact Request. Mr. Boucher.
Well, I'm here to save us some money. I sent you a letter, to the board a letter on the 23rd of March. I was at the Sprint store to get some work done on my township phone and talked to the girl there. Her name is Deanna. She's one of the wireless technicians that you work with there. Anyway, she reviewed our current contract and went through the whole thing. And then she said, I'm sure there's a way that I can save you some money. And so she went through our contract and then provided me the current, or her proposed updated contract. And so that's all listed in my letter. So over the 2-year contract, we could save nearly $1,000, and that would be with Cam and I receiving new phones for free every year. And currently we're paying for 6 lines, one for Cam, one for myself. We also have a phone that we haven't used in quite a while that was assigned. No?
I figured out different. Shannon Murray was the
There you go.
6th one.
Okay. There's 4 flip phones, Cam's phone and my phone on this contract. And Amy, building department manager, has indicated to Jody that they never use it. So we could probably actually save even more money by dropping one of the flip phones. And so the proposal's all in front of you, included with my cover letter. So if there's any questions.
So with the addition of Shannon's, but the removal of Amy's, we're still at the 5, which is what the contract that you have for. That's what she sent the contract for.
No, he's saying that it was for 6.
Shannon's is currently included, right, Jody? Is this one of the 6?
Oh, it is 6, you're right.
Shannon's was the 6th one, not the one in your truck.
Right.
In the fire truck.
Right, that's why you had me a little confused. We did take that one out of service about 2 years ago.
I think this is great. I'm all for it. A couple of questions though, and I guess really it's going to have to be talking to Amy about this. Dennis,
Lemieux?
the building inspector,
Yep.
he isn't here on a daily basis. He may actually need a smartphone where he can get emails on as opposed to a flip.
I would highly advise that.
Well, we can make that decision for him. I was going to talk to Amy, but Denny, if you go back and say the smartphones for yourself, Cam, and Dennis,
Okay.
get rid of the one that Amy has. And then that would leave 2 flip phones, Shannon Marie and Patrick. And what I was told was Shannon the only time he uses that is if he has to leave someone a phone number to get it back with him. So he's not using it a whole lot. So, to upgrade him to a smartphone, I don't think would be beneficial.
No, would it be worth asking him if he wants to if he has his own personal phone, we could do like we do with the rest of the board and give him a stipend towards that and get rid of that phone too?
And that would be fine, except he gives this phone number out.
Oh, and he doesn't want that on his personal phone, okay. No,
But he
I agree with
doesn't
that.
want
He
it.
shouldn't be doing that, okay.
So this is like his,
No, this makes perfect sense. They get new phones and we cut our expenditures.
And we're increasing the capability of the phones.
Yep.
We're going from 1 gig to 3 gig.
yeah, no, I was happy with all of the rest of it. It was just who has the phones and what do they use them for?
Sure.
What do we need?
Now, is your phone working right now? Because if we're gonna go back and possibly have a different amount, are you good for another month?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they were able to fix the problem. Took them an hour, but they were able to fix it.
I'll make a motion to table this until Denny goes back to them for the updates that were recommended by the board.
Okay,
You
that's
want-
fine.
You want to do that, or you just want to authorize Denny to follow what we just talked about?
Does he have to come back with a price and get that approved?
Pricing would be pretty close to.
Right. Not to exceed, how about put it not to exceed and just approve it now?
I'm okay with that, but what amount do we put to not to exceed?
The 5,000 total, Denny?
That would
Two-year
work.
contract?
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna ask him for one more phone with gigabytes and ask him to not go up in price. I don't know if they're gonna do that.
No.
That's my problem, because you're
I see
asking
what
for
you're saying,
another
Chris.
smartphone. It's gonna go up some, I would think. Everybody's good for another month, so it's not gonna hurt anything to wait one more.
Whatever.
No,
I would think legally, Steve, don't we have to have an amount before we can approve it?
Well, if you can't determine a not to exceed amount, then there's an issue here, yes.
Because we really can't.
Or add another, whatever you think.
Yeah, why don't
The amount of
we,
phones.
my recommendation then, because we're gonna add the 3rd smartphone, why don't we table this for 1 month? I'll go back and speak to Deanna, have her draw up a new contract, and we'll just go forward from there.
So my motion, I'll stay with my motion.
Okay?
Support.
Could you repeat that motion for clarification,
Motion
please?
is to table this until Denny comes back with the update recommendations from the board.
Motion by trustee Boyd, supported by clerk Keith. Any other discussion, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Letter E, Macomb County Department of Roads 2016 Dust Control Program.
I know that we have always said that the salt brine isn't as good, but I think it's better than nothing. And this is supposed to be a really hot, dry summer. I think we normally took the 2 free ones, set up 2 more, and if the 4th one didn't get done,
We got our money back.
we got our money back.
I'm good with that.
And I'd almost like to do the same. even though I agree that the salt brine isn't half as good as,
Well, last year, the discussion was it was completely non-effective. Everybody stated it.
Oh, yeah, it is.
It was non-effective and that we're wasting our money.
but the
We
thing
get
is,
two
if
free
you
ones,
didn't-
we get 2 free ones from the county, so we would have 2 applications to start. The last previous year, we did not use the third one.
I think we didn't use the fourth one.
Last year, we had 3 applications total. The year before that, we had 3. We paid for the 2 free plus the 2 more.
Allotted for 4, and we didn't
Yeah,
use that
and we
one.
got a refund.
Sir, you have a comment on that?
Yeah, I'd like to comment.
Can you come
I
up here,
think it
please?
was, you know, I do think that is effective. It definitely keeps the dust down, but it's all about timing. You know, and they scrape the roads and then they wait and it gets beat up or whatever. But last year, we got lucky, right? It rained right before good old days. But right up until that point, it was dusty as all get out. I mean, you couldn't even see the cars in front of you. And that road on that week is the worst in the entire year. I mean, there's like thousands of cars every day. So I called Macomb County, I asked them, you need to get out here and put the brine on. They said, sorry, we already used up all the allocations.
And just so the public knows too, what we did, I don't know if it was 2 or 3 years ago, because a lot of this is weather related, we gave the bid to the county, and not only because they have better knowledge of our roads and when the weather's going to happen and stuff to do it, and to keep the money within the county, when we did that bid, they were slightly higher than the other person. They subbed it right out to the other person who had the other bid, so we had like 0 control after that point. And when they're coming from Leonard, Michigan, once we're slated for application, they don't, once they head out, they don't turn around. They just do it regarding whatever the weather is.
Right.
It's raining or whatever, when they're coming, they're doing it, they're getting paid.
It is about timing though. If you can stage it and grade the roads before light rains,
So a lot of people don't realize that. It's coming from a company out in Leonard, Michigan that applies this stuff, and whatever the time period they're doing it, when it's slated, that's it.
but it is effective, and especially on the high volume roads. I don't know, you know, it's dangerous if you're not seeing the cars in front of you.
Well, and the thing, I know it's not as effective as the chloride used to be, but yes, we can say it's not effective. You know, we can say it's not effective, but if you don't have it, if we just said, no, we'll just take the 2, and we don't do that third one, then we'll find out how effective it was or wasn't, because
My argument last year was we should always allot for them. If we don't determine to use them, we get our money back based on weather conditions. But at least we have them readily available if we need them.
And you're right though, when they do put it down, it only lasts until the next time they grade it.
Thank you, sir. Like I said, we get 2 applications for free. Each application is $22,440. And that's estimated at 3,000 gallons per mile. So we're looking at May, late June, and late August as of right now.
Late August is whenever the board chooses.
Right, based on conditions.
They have to put in a time.
You said we can do 2 more or 1 more? They give us 2.
Buy as much as you
Yeah, you
want.
can take as
Buy
many as you
many.
want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
after 2,
At the
after
same
2, it's our
discount.
time.
At the same discount.
well, no, they do the first 2 for free.
Right.
We don't pay for those. Anything after that, we pay for, and it's $22,440 per application.
However many.
Yeah.
What if we didn't do the one in May and added at the end, closer to the old days?
Well, that's when we did the one last year. It was right before good old days.
I don't think they're gonna let us take one of their free
And put it where we want
and
it.
put it where we want.
Oh, I see, we have to take theirs
May and June.
Yeah.
If we want July or August, we have to put May. Okay. I
When
understand.
they do this, do you have to do the whole township, or can they do like just the east and west roads?
Problem is, if you don't, I mean, the argument's gonna be some got and some didn't, and that's gonna be the,
But then there are residents who say our road was completely fine. They graded it to put the salt,
They messed it
the
up.
dust control down, and now it's terrible again.
Yep.
I mean, I can tell you, I mean,
Get all
honestly, the
scenarios.
complaints I get more negative complaints that they just put it down and it's raining, it's turned into slop, and
Right.
I get all of them all the time, and I don't get a lot of positive feedback, that's what I'll tell you.
Why don't they, if they do it right in July, the amount of traffic we get, it pounds it down like concrete.
Yep.
And it lasts all of July.
Typically, and you'll see that too, where we do the limestone preservation program, when that new limestone's in place and it's done right, if it's crowned right, graded right, and that's put in properly,
Very effective.
it's almost like cement.
Right.
Well, the county graded my road just before that last rain, and it was great for about half a day.
Yep.
And then it was muck.
We had, very little, if no frost coming out of the roads this year. It's all weather-related stuff right now. It's probably gonna take, another 3 to 4 weeks for everything to stabilize, hopefully, if it doesn't rain a lot.
Jeanette, if we did the third one, at what point, when's the last point we can say we're not gonna use it? Or do we just not, if we just go through the whole time, we never call them, they're just gonna send us our check back?
Before it's dated, before it's slated to be applied, we call them.
We have to give them the third date right now too?
Yes.
Okay.
We have to pay for all three, or whatever we additionally want. We have to
And-
pay for that up front.
And pick our day.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess if you're asking for when can we cancel that, I would have to ask them.
Oh, we know we
I've never had-
can.
I thought before, Jeanette, as long as we caught them before they applied it.
I would assume, but I don't know. I guess we've never gotten their calendar of when they're.
Yeah, didn't you say we didn't use one of them? Did we get our money back?
Yes, we did.
Then we know we can.
But we didn't, I don't think we called and
No,
told them
they-
not to do it. They just never got around to it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Right, it was their option not to do that fourth one.
And they did send us the money back.
It's a tough one.
You can approve 3 or 4.
I think we should at least approve 3 and
Go for good old days. Why not?
as time frame or something.
Do you want me to find out if there's a way that they can do whatever dirt roads or gravel roads that most of the residents will be using right before?
You can't,
Well, good old days, it is really, it's a bypass. They shut down the roads with the intentional, so that's why that.
I understand, the township doesn't do it though, that's the problem. And that's just like the argument versus another festival. If we do that specific to one area, I just,
I also think too, by September, the good old days, it's usually raining, so you don't need it then. Last year,
No,
I'd say it rained right before good old days, so
You have to be in the July, August time frame somewhere.
right, June, July, August.
And depending on weather in May and June, their dates might fluctuate a little bit too. So it could really be some late May, late June, and then depending on weather, when our third application will be.
I would think early August would spread it out between the mid-June and the end of summer.
And we can pick our third one. We can tell them about when we want it.
Yeah, every year I usually write early and then whatever month you pick. Or late, like last year I did late August. And I never got confirmation of when they did it, but
I'll make a motion to approve the May and June, the free, what are we looking here? the dust control program, for the 2016 dust control program, and to purchase, excuse me, to purchase a third one in sometime in August to be determined by weather conditions.
Support.
Motion by trustee Boyd, supported by clerk Keith. Any other questions or discussion?
Yeah, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
We go to check the
Come on, podium,
quality
sir.
of their material?
Could you come on the podium, sir?
The reason we ask you to come to the mic is so we can pick it up on when they do the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
My question is the quality of the rind that they're going to use, because I've seen them put it down and it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's water. So how do we determine that they're going to use a quality product when they're doing their job?
We have no testing, no,
There's nothing in state regulations, there's nothing in county regulations?
And they are calling this well brine. It's not chloride, it's well brine.
Well, they can't use chloride no more because it's salt, but the rind that they're using, there's still qualities to it. It's just like cooking wine. Your first stuff that comes off is junk. It's the same deal.
actually, I believe they are still using the calcium chloride to the north of us with great success, but it's a lot more expensive, extremely expensive.
You still got to find out about the quality of the material. It's just like anything else.
The only thing I can tell you is it's what the county has contracted with them.
Well, that doesn't really answer it, but I'll go see the county.
Yeah, because it's,
I can, we can get you the number to, it's Bob Hopner at the Road Commission. He would probably be the best guy to talk to.
I already have it.
Okay.
Roughly 3 or 4 years ago, they switched from using 3,000 gallons per mile, 2,000 gallons per mile, and they switched it to 3,000 gallons per mile. So that should have made a difference, but I don't know.
We have been keeping tabs on this, sir. We also caught them. They were charging us for, Sir Matt, how many more miles were they charging us for? It was quite a bit. They were even charging us for the wrong amount of miles, and we checked it out to make sure and got that corrected.
and this does come from the road fund. And the road fund money can only be spent on roads.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Letter F, 2016-2017 budget workshop schedule. Just need first available. I know the department, some of the department heads aren't here. But what's everybody's first available?
I can do the 7th, if we wanted to do it this week, which is Thursday.
I'm available.
I'm available all day. Jody, you're usually in the evening, right? If you can make it? 4?
Yeah, see, my schedule now is 7 days a week. 5 days a week, 8 to 5, and 2 days a week, 9 to 5:30. So,
6 o'clock?
yeah, I can do 6. On a
Do 6?
Thursday, I can do 6.
If it's this Thursday?
6 o'clock Thursday, John. Okay, thank you. My motion on it?
Well, if there's a consensus, this is a scheduling item, you can act by consensus, something like that.
I'm sorry, what?
This is an administrative scheduling item, you can act by consensus on that, nobody else needs it.
Okay, thank you. Letter G, 2016 Lenox Library Lawn Service request.
Yeah, the library director, Karen, sent me over a letter requesting lawn care service for the library. They stopped a couple of years ago, and they want to come back to having the DPW take care of their lawns.
And Cam Prices figured it out.
Yep.
This is recommendation.
Is that the amount we were asking before?
We couldn't find any documentation on what we used to charge, so he just kind of calculated and figured out what he would need.
Man hours.
Yeah, no, I just said, is that the amount that we were charging before?
Yeah, we couldn't find anything.
Wouldn't it be in our minutes from
Last
Yeah.
year.
Didn't have anything, and
See, Karen would know, because she sees
Yeah,
the
it
checks.
should be in the minutes. If not, there should be a record of the payment.
Well, I don't have a problem charging this amount, that was just a question. I make a motion that we approve the Township DPW to continue doing the lawn service for the Lenox Township Library at a cost of $650.
Support.
Motion by Clerk Keys, supported by Trustee Boyd. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
thank you. I'll notify both CAM and the library. Thank you.
Thank you. Letter H, open burning ordinance amendment. Attorney Joppi?
Yes, I'll start off, and Chief Boucher is here as well. The township has an ordinance that, well, state law effectively prohibits burning outside, outdoor burning, open burning, it's also called, of leaves and brush and so on and so forth, unless there's a local ordinance allowing it, and even then there are restrictions on how far the township can go in terms of allowing it in the community. The state law allows that because it recognizes some communities are more rural or suburban, and not all urban communities where open burning might be a bigger problem than out in the open air, more rural communities. The township's ordinance does allow open burning, provided that residents obtain a permit from the fire department in order to do it, and that's to make sure that it's conducted safely, and that maybe even more importantly, that the fire department knows what's going on. So when there's smoke coming through the trees or up from properties, fire equipment and resources aren't unnecessarily expended for that purpose. And also so that the fire doesn't get out of control and spread and maybe catch into woods or catch onto a house. So there's distance requirements and things of that nature under the ordinance. In the ordinance, there's also a requirement that the open burning, outdoor burning, occur in a space that's no larger than 3 square feet and 2 feet high of pile of wood. Well, as you can imagine, that causes a little bit of a problem for some of the farmers in the community who clear land on their property to farm their fields and so on and so forth, and maybe do other things in connection with their farming operation. They can't very well burn in a 3 square foot little pit area, of course. And so the consequence is, you may have noticed that there are piles on farmlands where it's getting piled up either on the edge of a wooded area or in another area of the property that's not going to interfere with their farming operations. Number one, it's unsightly. Number two, we understand, you know, and of course the farmers want to keep their land looking good and so on and so forth, and the community wants areas looking good. And number two, we're informed that it's becoming a habitat or haven for rodents and other small wildlife and whatnot that are undesirable to gather in that area and perhaps causing problems. So we looked into amending the ordinance to see if there's anything we can do to accommodate it. Indeed, we can. I provided to you, with the assistance of the chief, a draft ordinance amendment that provides for open burning on farming operations. There's a few added requirements. These, of course, are going to be tremendous, potentially large fires, and so the chief has had some suggestions. Maybe he'll go through them. I won't get into that because he'd be the expert in that area. But also, we took the opportunity to update the ordinance in a number of other ways. It cited old statutes and had older requirements in it, so we've taken the opportunity to update that as well. I've provided a draft ordinance amendment to the board for its consideration this evening. If you do pass it, one of the things that state law requires is that in communities over a population of 7,500, it has to be sent
to the DNR, and in my review report, I've provided suggestion or recommendation that the clerk's office make sure to forward it within the 30 days so that we don't get in trouble with the state of Michigan. Chief, I'll turn it over to you maybe to talk about the exceptions and some of the concerns you have.
Yeah, Steve and I worked back and forth probably 4 times, and a couple of the biggest issues was closest to roadways. That was a huge one, because if you drive down Gratiot, we've got a pile only 20 feet off the roadway. There's no possible way we could approve that, because then we're allowing a hazard to actually pre-exist. So one of the things that I put in is a minimum distance of 250 feet from any roadway. And it still has to be completely put out by sunset. Otherwise, we have the potential of getting a call at 3 o'clock in the morning, somebody sees a glow in the middle of a field, and we're gonna get called to respond. And that's not a good way to operate. And the other issue was because of the size of the potential size of piles that they want to burn, we can't get off road with the fire trucks. Chris is a former firefighter; he understands completely. If we're going to permit this, what we put in the ordinance is that they have to have a piece of heavy equipment on site, being a backhoe or an excavator, somehow or way or shape or form, to be able to control the fire and also to be able to put it out by sunset. So the final draft copy that you have that Steve presented to you is one that we both agreed to in our final review and updates to it.
You guys want to speak to this at all, Mr. Roselle?
Yes, I guess the 250 feet sounds...
Could you come to the podium, please, sir? Thank you.
Yeah, the 250 feet's hard to believe that that's a necessity, being that people burn their leaves and that in the ditches along the road. I mean, and that makes a lot of smoke. When you're burning brush and brush fires, for the most part, the brush really burns clean compared to leaves. That's one thing that I would question as being right or not.
Well, somebody that's been in the fire service for 30 years, I totally disagree with you, because your assessment of comparing a pile of leaves burning in a ditch compared to a pile that you have down on Gratiot that is 30 feet long by nearly 20 feet high, there's no comparison whatsoever, okay? It burns so much hotter, you put off many embers, all you have to have is a 10-mile-an-hour wind, and now you have potential for a field fire or worse. And I thought this was a real good compromise. State law has some suggestions about not allowing it at all except during the winter, and we thought that was not fair to our residents, that we'd still allow them to burn depending on the weather conditions. Still falls under the fire service determination. If we have a dry spring, that we cancel all burn permits. That's still in effect, and that's also in the state law.
Could I just ask one other thing? And I understand what you're saying about the distance, but at sunset, is there an overriding factor if you give approval, if they have equipment on site and have people on site? Because some of these piles are good size, and you know how long wood burns, and especially in the short sun months, it can be dark at 5 o'clock. And some of that stuff, the size of it just doesn't, it'd be very difficult to put it out is what I'm getting at, and start over for the next day. If it's manned and with your approval, is there an overriding factor that you could give approval to that?
I guess my question would be, who would enforce that at 3 o'clock in the morning to ensure that somebody's out there?
You would.
I wouldn't be out there at 3 o'clock in the morning.
I'm just saying if there was specifics in place, and why I say this, Denny, is it could be a field. Some of these fields are a mile deep or half a mile deep, off the road, totally isolated with proper equipment. If you felt it wasn't an issue and took precautions ahead of time with dispatch that, hey, we're doing a burn here, if any calls come in of that nature.
We could add a mandate that it would have to be
approved by you.
No.
And maybe I'm wrong, but Mr. Roselle, I know some of these burns, some of the size of this stuff. I mean, they're stumps and stuff. These stumps, you can't put them out in a short period of time. And then, once again, we're talking about water out in the middle of these fields where it's not accessible.
Right, and that's our problem, is that we have no access.
Right.
2 years ago, we had a major fire down on 30 Mile Road by Omo, and the only thing we could do was stand by until the owner got an excavator, and he got a big ticket and he got a big bill.
And with you I would say each situation is going to be different based on location and things of that, where you would be the judge of it. But in my opinion, I think we'd want them to get it done as quick as possible. If it meant going over late at night or around the clock once versus 6 times during the week or something like that, where you would determine it and be the judge. But just to get it done and over with is what I'm looking at.
We could add one final amendment to it, that if we approved a large pile like this, that it would have to be, somebody would have to be stand by with our approval, but they would have to have someone there the entire time.
Yeah.
If that meant.
Yeah, I would never say definitely somebody there to. Would that be a problem, Mr. Rosio?
No, that would be a plus, I would think.
And again, this isn't just for the Rosio family. We've got
correct
numerous all over the township, and that's why last year when we talked about this, I was
and just
absolutely let's make it
just to
usable.
summarize this for the audience too. What we've had, I don't know if anybody's seen driving around, but we have large jam piles of timber, of brush being pushed up into the woods, into the big woods on these properties. And the worst thing we want to see is one of these get going one of these days and burn down a whole section of woods. We don't want that. It doesn't look right, and it's a safety hazard. And this way, we can let the farmers do it properly with the chief's guidance, and everybody wins that way. So I appreciate your guys' work on this. I really do, and I know it's something we got to make sure is done correctly with the farmers. And yes, turn job.
To that end, can I suggest quote out an amendment to the ordinance?
Please.
So where the sunrise to sunset provision is in the ordinance is in section 6, A1. It's on page 2 of the amendments that I provided to you under regulation of permitted open burning. It says that the permitted open burning shall, number 1, occur only between the hours of sunrise and 1 hour before sunset. To accomplish this, I'd recommend adding after the word sunset a comma and then the following words: unless an additional amount of time is specifically approved by the fire department and stated on the open burning permit. Chief, would that accomplish your purpose here?
That way you can,
we have
case
to
by
include
case.
something that it would have to be, they'd have to have someone on site.
Well, it'd be approved by you, so that would be one of your terms and conditions, I would say, Chief.
Okay.
Well, then you'd have to have another document that says that, instead of just one document.
Mr. Jobbick, would it be best to say something with conditions approved by Chief Boucher, or the fire chief? Or
written conditions.
So even like the gravel roads, you gotta be 50 feet up?
Yes, I'll write that out in one moment.
The whole reason for this is, I mean, anybody that's burned stumps and stuff, Mr. Rosile, you just can't.
It takes time, it's not.
Takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
And you just can't put them out. Hey, them things will burn.
Okay, I have some additional language.
Yes.
It would now read, unless an additional amount of time is specifically approved by the fire department and stated on the open burning permit with any conditions required by the fire department.
That would cover it.
I like that. I appreciate your compromise on that. Is there anything else, Mr. Rosile, you might not think of that could help in this, or?
I think that will help the community, better safety of the community too. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for your input.
Thank you.
The fire department would recommend adoption of the amended open burning ordinance with the new subsection.
I was just going to ask, how does this affect just like small fires that people
Nothing changes there.
Nothing there changes.
Nothing changes. What about like campfires? That's never been included.
That's not a requirement in our ordinance or state law.
And it's actually addressed in there.
I really appreciate you guys' hard work on that. I appreciate you guys getting involved, and that's what it takes where we can have real applications, you know, real world stuff put to use here and know what we're dealing with, so appreciate it.
I have a question.
Yes.
Does that include still somebody, if they sign this consent or this agreement, the person who wants to burn?
Could you go up to the podium, please?
I can't hear you,
Are
Jane.
they still going to require?
Can you go up to the podium, please?
Before, at state line? Okay.
With this addition to what you wrote down there, you were suggesting that someone would have to tend the fire if it went beyond.
That would be one of the conditions that I could put in.
That would actually be written into the consent
Yep.
that they would sign?
Exactly.
They would be responsible for that?
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha, thank you.
The other part, Chief, for these particular permits, I assume they're gonna have to come to you, to the fire hall, instead of getting them up here if it's a farmer that's doing a big burn.
Yes.
So those permits won't even be up here, they'll be at the department only.
We will need to instruct Veronica to send, any special burn permit, the Roseals, and we've got several throughout the township that they would need to, get that directly from the fire station and either be issued by myself or by the assistant chief and signed off.
Yeah, this is definitely going to eliminate a hazard, I think. We got fire hazard, kids getting hurt in them and stuff like that. Just best to get them out of there.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed open burning ordinance amendments with the additions stated by the lawyer, Mr. Jopik. Unless you want to add something to that.
Presented a draft motion to the board for consideration, make sure that we had it in the record.
Oh. The second page? Oh, okay. All right, here we go again. I move for the adoption and enactment of the ordinance amending the Lenox Township Open Burning Ordinance, Part 49, Ordinance 3 of the Lenox Township Book of Ordinances in order to amend sections 2, 3, 4, and 6 for purposes of restating and clarifying the enabling authority, prohibiting certain materials from being burned in designated areas of the township, and providing an exception for open burning as part of clearing land for a farm operation. I'm going to add anything for the stuff that you added?
No, I think that the discussion here tonight amended the proposed ordinance and it's incorporated.
Support.
Motion by trustee Boyd, supported by trustee Churchy. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Chief. All right, zoning board of appeals alternate compensation request.
When we had our organizational meeting for the ZBA, we talked about compensation for the alternate. That person has never been paid before. We have a new person he's not familiar with. I'd really like to have him at every meeting so that he kind of gets the lay of the land and he feels the same way. With that said, he needs some kind of compensation. The ZBA did come up with, and the new board member actually thought he was happy with that. And so anyway, it was $25 per meeting, and that is for him to come to every meeting, whether he's going to be a part of the voting or not. If he is a part of the voting, he gets the regular pay. This is only for the meetings that he just comes to for learning purposes.
So pays his travel back and forth in his time here.
Yep.
That's $25.
Yep. And last year, well, I don't even know last year, the norm is we might have 6 ZBAs a year. So this isn't going to be a big hardship. We're not raising the price of the ZBA, to do this. So I needed this board's approval because this is the governing body for payroll, not the ZBA, but we talked about it there first. So.
I'll make a motion that we approve the ZBA alternates be paid the amount of $25 per meeting when they attend but are not part of the ZBA board.
Support.
Motion by trustee Boyd, supported by trustee Churchy. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Letter J, Valak Retirement Services Company required plan update. Clerk Keith.
We did this a while back, and it's that time again. The IRS regulations require that this document be updated periodically to incorporate law changes. And I attached all of the legalese. So I need two things. I need to approve the resolution that's on page 4, and I need authorization to sign the paperwork on behalf of the township. And I guess I really don't need that because I am the administrator of it.
I make a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the amendment and restatement of the Valak retirement plan.
Support.
Motion by Trustee Boyd, supported by Trustee Churchy. Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
You said you don't need the second one, Joey? You already have that position?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Letter K, additional public announcement, heading to agenda.
When we went to the consent agenda, the first few meetings, we were pulling stuff out, but it was mostly for just public announcements. So I'd like to add public announcements right after the approval of the minutes and before the public comment. Stuff that would be talked about is, like, I brought up the website, but here's another great one. The American Red Cross is going to have a blood drive here at the Township Hall on July 7th. Okay, there's no place to put that unless we put it in public comments. And so just a small change, and maybe there won't be anything some months.
Okay.
So I need a motion to approve the addition of.
I don't think it's a good idea, because I know when I wanted to make a comment, it was like, well, it's not a report, but I just wanted to bring up something. You said there's no place to put it, so I'll make the motion that in our meeting agenda, we add between approval of minutes and public comment, public announcements.
Support.
Motion by Trustee Churchy, supported by Clerk Keith. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh,
Steve's waving at you.
You're good, just finish the motion. I have one comment after you.
opposed? Motion passes.
I just wanted to comment that this is set out in your policy manual, your agenda. So next time that comes around, I'll plug this in.
Thank you.
Just wanted to let you know.
You haven't given us an updated copy of that.
All right, letter L, 2016 limestone plan. Once again, the Department of Roads has once again budgeted for limestone applications on 3 miles of gravel roads within each of the northern 6 townships. The low bid we received for delivery of this limestone is now at $14.67 per ton. Therefore, if you choose to participate with all 3 miles, the total estimated material cost for 15,000 tons would be $220,050, bringing the 10% cost share to be paid by the township of $22,050. So for 3 miles, our total cost is $22,050 for this limestone program. We have to submit the 3 miles of roads ASAP. They're wanting once again. And just as before, we went off of Mr. White, Cam Trombley, and Danny Fouché as far as application. And Sir, too, also, if you want to speak to this again, I'll definitely allow you. Deputy Supervisor, comment?
Last year we did 1 mile on 31 mile from Low Plank going west to Custer. We did 30 mile from Haven Ridge going 1 mile west to Bates. And then we did Frost Road from 28 to 27 mile. I'm sorry. I know Cam had some discussion with me regarding what roads to do next, and you talked to the residents.
And I guess just to summarize too, and if anybody ever wants to look, we created a limestone improvement map for the township showing all of our applications, what year they were applied, from point A to point B. It was never kept track of before, so now we have a running map to show exactly what's been done throughout the township. I myself personally would not like to change the way we're doing things, have these guys who are on our roads and public input dictate where these applications go. I would like to approve the 3 miles at that cost of $22,050, and then let these gentlemen work with the public and.
Right, and Cam will be back before the end of the month, so I'm sure the county, if we let them know that we want 3 miles for sure, if I can get to them by the end of the month.
One other comment to that too, I'd like to stall as long as possible, because then we can really see what the road conditions are once these kind of dry up, and if there was any frost in. I don't think there's much frost in the ground. There was hardly any frost in the ground, and but we'll know which roads are really impacted.
I can tell you a few roads that I'm getting complaints on.
And we should have the majority of the complaints then and compiled, and I would stall it as long as possible so that we know we're making the right decision once again.
I was actually talking to Ray Township specifically, and it really seems like we're the only ones that do it that way, that we piecemeal here and there. They were really surprised that we do that, and I don't know, this is more with you, but I'm almost wondering if we should consider actually doing one road at a time, and I think a great place to start would be 31 and Gratiot. 31 mile. What Ray Township does is they'll do all the east-west, and then when those are done, they'll do the north-south, and then they start over and do east-west, and then north-south. And granted, it takes a few years to get all of them done, but
a few years.
We're doing the piecemealing here and there. Really, what's the difference? I don't know. You drive the roads way more than I do. I don't know if that's even feasible. I just know that's how they do it.
Well, we already have a couple roads that are completed. 31 has been done from the city border all the way to the other city border, all the way across. Same thing with Place Road, except for 26 to 27 mile road.
But it still goes back to how much, what the traffic load is. Like my neighbor said earlier when we were talking about the road earlier and the dust control. Low Plank is a direct north-south route to get people off of Gratiot to get up and bypass the city of Richmond. 31 Mile Road is used constantly. I approached the road commission 2 years ago, I'm sure the board remembers, to try to eliminate all the truck traffic off of 31 Mile Road and Low Plank because they bypass the city to go to the fuel depot on 31 Mile Road, and they said absolutely not, it's a county road, they're entitled to drive on it. So Jeanette's right, 31 Mile Road has been done, but the worst section from the city limits to Forest was done 11 years ago.
Right.
Okay, so so that's why we, Cam, myself, and Jeff need to give you guys the best.
Correct.
And
so you
go
definitely
with
feel
what
that
we're hearing from our residents too. I've been on Place Road 7 times in the last week for emergency calls. It's paved compared to 31 Mile Road. It's in great shape. But again, you don't have the traffic flow. Nowhere near what you have on 31 and what you have on Low Plank. So
Another thing to.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, it does.
You can see that section is 4 times more than another road.
Really. Low Plank has been done from 32 to 30, but it hasn't been done south of that. From 29 to Gratiot, I think there's only one house in that section. So, I don't know.
We've had other issues created by detours and things of that nature that have really impacted our roads, and I think we look at traffic flow, population, emergency management runs, things of that nature, and you guys' input.
no, they don't, but they're using them.
There's also a lot of underground springs that affect how the roads are, because there is one on 31 near Pasha. You always know that it gets bumpier or mushier there. But with all this rain we've had last week and recently, I think waiting for their recommendation to see what happens in the next few weeks
That was abnormal.
Well, I'm going to speak on behalf of all three departments. We'd recommend that you approve the spending, and then the three of us, as well as the comments for residents, we'll make our recommendations, and let's move forward.
Yep. And another section that I would like looked at is the end caps on both sides of Gratiot, all the way down 30 Mile Road, 29 Low Plank,
Oh, yeah.
and 28. Coming up on Gratiot from any of the back
Yeah,
roads.
your wheel hopping all the way through it.
Yeah.
Yep.
One other thing just to put out there too, in dealing with the road commission, the head of the road commission wants the residents to call him directly. This may sound funny, he doesn't want us to really call him anymore. He wants to hear directly from the residents what the problems is and act accordingly. That's what he requests. So if anybody, if neighbors have any wants or needs, please tell him to give him a call, because that's what he likes. He likes to hear is what needs to be done.
Right.
Better than coming from us, he said.
Right. I mean, I don't want to give anybody more work to do, but if the residents can call both, the county and then call our offices, because it's nice for us to know in our own township which roads are bad. I mean, I hear from employees which roads are bad, but I also like to hear from the residents. So it's good for planning.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Phone number.
I make a motion that we approve utilizing the limestone.
Yes, sir. If you want to.
She just brought up a good question. What is the phone number that people need to contact, and how do they know to contact that if they're not at this meeting? Word of mouth by 4 or 5 people? That's not gonna get the job done.
We can supply you with the phone number. The meetings are televised, but we can supply you with the number.
I'm gonna guess not a lot of people watch that. Well, who is the head of the road commission? I don't know that.
We can get you that information. It's Bob Hopner.
I'll get you the
We'll get you the contact number too.
I leave here
Tonight.
tonight.
Posted in the minutes.
Well, before you leave, before the meetings, we can get you the number.
I'll go get it.
We'll have it printed out for you.
No, but what they're saying is if it's announced at the meeting here, it'll go televised.
Correct.
That's-
You brought up a good, I try not to call too much because I think I'm the squeaky wheel all the time, but.
I can tell you it works. My son called you when he lived at my house and didn't live anymore. Every time Omo got bad, he would call. And if he called enough times, they'd come out and grade it. Now, they didn't always do a great job, but they'd come and run a blade across it because they all stopped the phone calls.
I've called numerous times, and every response I get is, okay, I appreciate it, but tell the residents, call me direct. Call the road commission. And that's what he's told me time and time again to a fault. So, if you can, Jeanette, please make sure these
I'll go
gentlemen
get
get the
some
number.
directories. I'll go get lunch.
I make a motion that we approve the limestone application on 3 miles of gravel roads at a 10% cost saving, us paying 10% of the total, roughly $22,050 with Cam, Denny, Jeff White, and Surmed figuring out which roads need it.
Support. Motion by Clerk Keith, supported by Trustee Boyd. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 2016 CDBG.
I received a call from Carrie at the county regarding the new Baltimore Farmers Market that we approved to give some service funds to for 2016, and they are no longer qualified. They didn't meet the criteria. So that $250 in service money has to be reallocated to one of the other, or all 3 of the other services.
What's your recommendation?
It's completely up to you guys. If you want to divide it into 3, the Turning Point, Care House, and Lenox Seniors, or if you want to give it all to one particular one that I'm in favor of, which would be the Lenox seniors. It's completely up to you.
I'd like to give it to the seniors for travel funding.
Yeah, that seems to be.
Luann, do you have a problem with that?
Certainly not. Never.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Clerk Keith, supported by Trustee Boyd. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. I'm at letter N, correct? Sheriff Annual Cleanup. I received a letter. The Sheriff's Office will begin its 15th annual spring cleanup during the months April and May. The cleanup is performed by minimum security inmates that are not an escape risk and are guarded by a sheriff's deputy. We've used them before where we have inmates clean up debris and trash in our area. I'd definitely like to do this again and put them to work. So, if you guys would like to do this, I can contact the sheriff, and if you have an area that would like to be done, I know Waste Management takes care of Gratiot pretty good for us. A little plank is definitely in need.
How about the cemetery?
It's mostly for getting rid of debris and picking up stuff.
Okay.
I mean, I mean, that would be more cutting and stuff, I think, right,
Well,
Jenny?
when it comes to spring cleanup, they spend a lot of time over there. I know Cam
Yeah.
and Patrick spend a lot of time, a lot of down.
I just know those, and if anybody knows of any other, that low plank, like you said, that they
Yeah.
cut off, they end up
Plank.
throwing a lot of stuff in the ditches and in the wood line all the way down there.
Yeah.
Actually, 29 mile from Gratiot to the railroad tracks gets a lot of it.
So I'm thinking if we can utilize them there to get rid of that stuff,
There's no cost?
no cost.
Haven Ridge gets it a lot too.
I mean,
You
all,
can tell by those heavy rains we had,
cost
it
is,
all went in my ditch.
yeah, the cost is
Bottles,
we're housing
cans,
these
whatever.
gentlemen right now out of our tax dollars, so why not put them to work?
I'll make a motion for the supervisor's office to authorize, to bring in the sheriffs for their spring cleanup and determine which areas they need the most work.
Support.
Motion by Trustee Boyd, supported by Clerk Keith. Any other discussions or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public comment.
I went and grabbed some Macomb County directories, and Department of Roads phone number is 586-463. I have copies for everybody. 586-463-8671, and I've got copies for
And
whoever wanted one.
that's Bob Hopner.
Yes. Page 40.
So anybody that would like a copy of that, please see the deputy supervisor. We'll be happy to supply you with that. Any other public comment? Anything at this time? Okay.
Make a motion to adjourn at 9:10.
Support. Motion by Trustee Churchy, supported by Trustee Boyd. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned.